Right. So yesterday we have completed about the serialization, right? Today there is another topic. It is called as externalization. What is it? Externalization. So we will understand what is externalization. Before proceeding into this topic, I will tell you something. See, there are very few drawbacks with the serialization. When I say drawbacks, for example, let us say that we have an account class. For the account class, I am creating an object. For the account class, I am creating an object. So an object gets created, and the reference variable is obj. Okay. So through serialization, so don't you think that all the properties, all the variables, if the variables are not a transient variables, don't you think that all the variables will be participating in the serialization? For example, if I have one variable like name variable, it will participate. Second variable, pin number variable, it will participate. I mean, I'm just assuming that all the variables are non-transient type. Okay, let me say that third variable is location variable. It will participate. Okay, and let us say that I have something around like 1000 variables. Okay, so don't you think that all the variables that has been declared inside the account class will be participating in the serialization? But my intention is I just want to serialize only one variable. Let us say that I just want to serialize only one variable, which is the name variable. I do not want to serialize the remaining how many variables? 999 variables. My intention is I just want to serialize only the name variable, right? But if I use the default, if I go with the serialization, right, definitely JVM will ensure that all the variables will be serialized and they will be placed in the file, right? Yes or no? You agree with that? All the 1000 objects will be serialized, right?
Yes, sir.
So don't you think that if our requirement is very small in the sense, so when compared to 1000 variables, I just want to serialize only one. It has least significant, right? I cannot go for what? I cannot go for the existing serialization object. If I use existing serialization, right? What is the problem that I have? I don't have any problem. JVM will take care of everything. JVM will take care of everything, but JVM will unnecessarily deserialize all the 1000 variables. All the 1000 variables. I will be happily getting that I can use only one variable at the end. I do not have any issues with that. I can happily use only one variable, okay, that I want to use, because I am dependent only upon the name variable, so I can use it with the existing serialized option. Don't have any issues. But when you look into the performance wise, it is really not recommended, right? Let us say that for one object, okay, for one variable it is consuming 1 minute. For 1000 variables, it will be consuming 1000 minutes. Yes or no? Just an assumption. Okay, for one to serialize one variable, let us say that it's consuming 1 minute. For 1000 variables, it consumes 1000 minutes. Again, at the time of deserialization, it consumes another 1000 minutes. Usually, it won't consume such time. I'm just giving it as an example. If my requirement is to serialize only one variable, okay, can I conclude that the existing serialization concept will not fulfill my requirement? You can also argue with me saying that, sir, why can't you use transient for all the remaining variables? Again, that is also some variables are not confidential. Okay, out of 1000, only one two variables may be confidential variable. Remaining 998 are not a confidential variable. So would it be good if I use the transient keyword for all the remaining variables? Hello,
Sir, you can make it a child class.
which one?
It is serial name
Okay, that is also
only containing name variable.
that is also accepted. If I just call the child object, again I will be getting the what we call it as access to all the variables, right? For example, whenever you create an object for the child.
But they can't be serializable. Only one name variable will be
Yeah,
serialized.
of course. I mean, only name variable will be serializable in the child object. Name variable only when only name variable will be serial. You can place a name variable in the child object, and you are saying that I can just use the serializable interface inside the child object. That is completely accurate. That is completely accurate. But one problem is here. The problem is that, okay, some cases you might be adding new variables as the project develops, which means, okay, when you create a class, this class cannot be is going to be like this forever. At the project builds, okay, today the class is going to have only one variable. You keep adding variables. Are you getting? You keep adding variables. It is not permanent. I mean, it is not permanent that your class is going to have only one variable. When a class is getting,
It should be flexible.
yeah, when the class is going to be a gigantic class, okay, the class explosion will happen. When I say class explosion, your class cannot be class A forever. Your class cannot be with one variable forever. Due to the requirements, you keep adding new variables in your existing class. The class explodes in the sense, okay, the small class becomes a very big class because you keep adding the variables. And again, we have to think about the externalization. I mean, we have to rethink about the serialization, right? Again, all the variables will participate now.
Yes, sir.
Or trying to understand are you getting what I'm trying to say? That is also a valid option.
Yes, sir.
You can keep that, but the class cannot be. And one more thing is, apart from this, there are at times what happens is, see, now see, look, understand this serialization topic. Serialization means you are giving the work blindly to the JVM itself. You are not doing anything at all. Okay? You just say, JVM, please take care of the deserialization as well as please take care of the deserialization. Okay? The only work you do is when you have to deal with the transient keyword, then you do some little work, yes or no? Only, okay, when you have to deal with the transient variables, right? And if you want to transfer that encrypted data, and again, if you want to apply the decrypted logic on the receiver side, you do some work. You do some work means you override the yesterday we have seen a write object method and read object method. Yes or no? You do some work. But
Yes, sir.
externalization is like, okay, developers are going to do all the work. We'll see, we will understand that with a small example. Developer will never give the work to the JVM. Developer says, I will be doing the serialization, I will be doing the deserialization. Please do not interfere. Okay, if the JVM interferes, then you have to use serialization. If you do not want the JVM to interfere, then you have to go for externalization. The problem is when the JVM interferes, it is serialization. It means it will blindly serialize all the 1000 variables in a gigantic class, in a big class, very big class. But if you involve yourself, okay, if you want to do the work by yourself, then you can happily use the externalization. Okay, see, let me show you the theory. Serialization is nothing but default mechanism in Java to convert an object into the byte stream. Okay, achieved by implementing these things we have been discussing for our last 5 days, right? Externalization, look at the externalization definition. A custom mechanism to convert an object into a byte stream. It is a custom mechanism, not default mechanism. This is default one. You have to see the difference. Default means JVM, custom means developer. Okay, how you can make the class to, I mean, how you can ensure that you are applying the custom mechanism for serialization or to convert an object into the byte stream. Simply, if you have a class A, you implement that class with externalizable interface. Are you getting? That concept is called as what? Externalization. Hello? Yes, no? So far
Yes,
it's
sir.
good. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we will see these things in detail. Let me create a small project. File, file, new. What is the name of the project? Java project. Okay, let's say externalization. Next, okay, finish. We have the project. Let me create a package. org dot dot. Test. I'm keeping a name package name, and I'm creating a class. Directly, can we take the driver class directly? Yes, we can take the driver class directly. Okay, public static void main. Okay, I have the main method. So I've taken the driver class directly based on main method. Okay, now let us study something about the externalizable interface. So in Java, right? So serializable is a what interface? Can anyone tell me what is the what interface is serializable? I have given you one word. No? What kind of interface is the serializable? Marker interface. You remember? Hello. Marker means
Yes, sir.
any interface with. I mean, it will not have any methods. Okay, it is a blank interface. I can say. Marker interface means an interface with no abstract methods. So serializable is an interface which is called as what? The marker interface. It has no methods. Complete only body will be there, and inside the body it is completely empty. Okay. However, the externalizable, okay, external is an interface which has two abstract methods. Okay, what are they? You have a method called write external. You have a method called read external. Right? So this is a marker interface, and this is not a marker interface. It has two abstract methods. So when you implement a class with what? When you implement a class with serializable, you do not have to follow any contract. When I say you do not have to follow any contract, you are not supposed to override any methods because there are no abstract methods here. So the class A will get the eligibility of becoming the serializable by nature. Okay. When you implement a class with externalizable interface, you have to follow what contract you have to follow? Interface. When you are implementing an interface, what contract you have to follow? Have you forgotten that?
Methods.
Correct. These are the abstract methods, na? These are the abstract methods, right? Hello? Right external method, they are abstract method. So you need to override that external method. You need to give the body. You need to give the implementation for that. So this is the first thing you have to consider, right? So if you look at the hierarchy, externalizable is the child interface to serializable. The serializable is a parent interface. Under serializable, you have an externalizable, is a child interface. But the child interface has two abstract methods: write external, read external. Are getting? Externalizable is an interface. It is the child interface of serializable. First point. And externalizable interface has two abstract method. What are they? Write external, read external method. When you implement a class, with the serializable, you do not have to follow any contract. But when you implement a class with externalizable, you have to ensure that these two methods are overridden. We will understand what is the use of these two methods. Okay. Are you good so far? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you see, let us create a class. Okay. Let us create a very simple class. Okay. I want to create a class called account class. Okay. Class account. So in my account class, let me take three variables. One is what? The account name, location. Third one is integer, pin number. Okay, I am declaring three variables. Okay, let me declare one more variable. A string what we call it as the bank name. I have declared 4 variables. Okay, but my intention is, see, the contract will be like this. So let me remove this file name. Focus here. So this is the sender and this is the receiver application. This is sender application. Okay, this is the receiver application. Okay, so what kind of contract exists between the sender and receiver is, okay, so there will be a person who is looking after the sender application and there will be a person who is looking after this receiver application. These two persons, okay, this P1 is the person and P2 is the person. Let us say that he is the project lead or whatever it is. He's a team leader or he's a manager, whatever it is. Two persons. These two persons, okay, they discuss each other. They discuss with, let's say that this project, this sender application is somewhere in USA and this receiver application is somewhere in India. Okay, the person P1 and P2, okay, they define some set of rules and regulations. Okay, so they usually depend upon a remote file. Okay, let us say that there is a remote file. This is a remote file. Remote file means any file that is not inside your system. Any file that is somewhere in the server. Remote file.scm. Okay, so the contract between P and P2 is these persons two, they discuss and they sign a contract saying that you serialize the objects from your account class. So the project one, the sender application has an account class. You collect the information, collect the required information and serialize that inside this remote file. Okay, the P2, the person P2 says to P1, the person P2 says to the P1, right, I do not want all the fields. I am interested only in the name field. I am interested only in the location field. Your application has so many fields or so many variables. Pin is there, and what else is there? The bank name is also there. I am not interested in all the 4 fields. I am interested only in 2 fields. Contract. Okay, what person 1 will do? The person 1, he comes to a conclusion saying that if I use serialization, definitely all these 4 variables will participate in the serialization, right? Since the contract is like is interested only in these 2 fields, instead of implementing my class to serializable interface, why can't I implement my class to externalizable? Why can't I implement a class to externalizable interface? And I can only pass the required fields and I can write this in the remote file. I can write this object in the remote file. Okay, this remote file is going to have the serialized variables of name and the location. Okay, and the receiver application aptly deserialize this and get this 2 information, name and the location, because it's not interested in other fields. Okay, if the person 2 says I am interested in all the fields, what can the account class implement? The person 2 says he is interested in all the fields. Should I implement externalizable or serializable? All fields means what? Okay, if only specific number of fields, externalizable, right? So this common contract, okay, even if you go for serialization or externalization, these 2 projects, they come to a conclusion. Not only this, even for the which fields needs to be transient and what is the encrypted logic so that the receiver can decrypt it, right? So only these 2 people will have that common understanding, and they define some set of rules and regulations and they put everything in the papers so that they can keep the data secured and protected. Have you understood so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is not limited to file. It is also when you are transferring a data over a network, in order to meet the security constraints, right? There will be a deal between these two people regarding the variables that's supposed to be transient, regarding the variables that that needs to be in the communication channel, regarding the what we call it as the encrypted logic and the decrypted logic. Only these two people will understand. Okay, now let's go back to this. Let us go back. Account, string name, location, pin, and bank. Okay, now I'm interested only in these two fields. What I should do here? Implements what? Externalizable interface. Externalizable interface. Externalizable. Okay. Now, don't you think it is import externalizable? We have imported it. So the code is breaking. The class is breaking. Okay. It is suggesting us to add unimplemented methods. Okay? These are the two unimplemented methods. Didn't I say this? Write external, read external method. Okay. The question is, what logic goes inside? That is the question. What logic goes inside? That is the question. Okay. Before going this, let us start beginning from the main method. Let us take a file. Okay. Let me remove this. Okay. The first basic things what we do to put an object into the file. What is the first procedure? Serialization procedure. File output stream. No. You have to create an object, right? Hello. You have to create an object now in the file.
Yes,
so
sir.
These are the instance variables, right? Which means no values are assigned. I want to assign the values in the runtime. I want to assign the value. So let me take a constructor here. A source generate constructors using fields generate. I have a constructor here. All argument constructor. This will help me to set the values in the runtime. Okay. Firstly, let us create an object for the account class. Account sender equal to new account. Okay, so first three things are, first one is what? Name of the person, name of the account holder. Second one is what? Location. Let's say 9. Third one is what? PIN number. Okay, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one is what? Bank name. Let us say the Axis Bank. So the object has been created with the respective values. Okay, with the respective values. All the instance variables are assigned with values. After this, file output stream, right? File output stream FIS equal to new file output stream. So here you need to copy this file path. Okay, and account of this will throw an exception, delegate it to the caller method. Next one is what? Object output stream, right? Okay. So object output stream OIS equal to new object output stream. So you just pass the reference variable of file output stream. So after this, okay, now focus here. You want to start calling OIS dot write object. You want to write this object into the file, right? You want to write the sender object into the file. The sender object is the account object. Your intention is to put this account object into this absolute path. Okay. So now here the JVM will come into the picture, guys. JVM will come to the picture, especially on line number 47. JVM will check, okay, this sender object is of what type? What is the type of the sender object? Account type. Again, it will go to the account class. It will check whether this account type is serializable by nature or externalizable by nature. What is it? Externalizable. Right? Okay, externalizable means the JVM will now perfectly understand that, okay, the developer wants to add the customized serialization here. I mean, not customized serialization exactly. Developers want to do what? He wants to do the serialization by himself. We do not want to delegate the request to the JVM. Okay, then, okay, the developer is interested in externalizable. It will check the control comes directly jumps into write external method. Okay, inside this method, by using this reference variable, who will decide, developer will decide which variables will participate in the serialization. Hello, getting this?
Yes,
Developer
sir.
will decide. Now developer will decide which variable. You are interested in which variable? I am interested in name variable. Let us say that I am interested in name and the location. Both are of string type. Name, location. Okay, what you do? Out dot. Okay, you just write object. Name is what? Name is string. Name is of string type, right? So you just write object. Okay, what object you want to write? Okay, give that reference variable name here. Name object. Right. Likewise, location. Location. Okay, the same thing. Write object. You pass location. You are interested in these two variables. You just want to see, like, not you. When I say you, it means what? I'm saying it, the sender. Sender is interested in sending only the name and the location, because that is the deal, that is the contract between these two people, these two applications, right? So that is why it is like this. Hello, any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Okay, now, so this line, okay, all these lines, collectively, what they do, collectively, all these lines, they just do what? Okay, only the name object and the location object will be transferred to this. In our case, it is not remote file. In our case, it is a file somewhere in my local system. Okay, in our case, okay, it will be transferred. Now, what is the next step? Serialization is completed. Serialization is completed. Okay, now deserialization, right? Deserialization. So let us run this first. Let's run this first. Do you think we get any output? Output is blank. You're not getting any output because we have just completed the serialization. What is the proof that the serialization has been completed? You are able to see the account class generated, right? This is the proof. You don't see, it is not readable, but serialization is completed. For two variables, we don't know it is called for two variables or not. Let us focus on serialization. This is the interesting part and little bit confusing part. Your attention is required. Now deserialization. What is the first step for deserialization? File input stream. Right? File input stream. Let us say that okay. Input stream. New file input stream. Okay, you want to read the data from the same file, right? Again, object input stream. Object stream equal to new okay. After this, what? Object stream dot read object, no? Read object. So it is going to read what object? Account object. Object is of what type? Account type. Account ACC. Okay, you have to type cache into account. Okay, these two lines are good. These two lines are good. Now look at the third line. Okay, so the moment the JVM, the main thread encounters the line number 56, okay, it will check for the account object. Okay, it knows that this account object is already of externalizable type. The control will jump to the read external variable. Read external method. The control will jump to what? The control will directly jump to the read external method. So after jumping to the read external method, now what is the how these objects will be read? Okay. So what you want to read? in dot, okay, read object. First object is of string type. Okay, first object is of what type? First object is of what? String type. Okay, what is the field of the second object? String.
Name, sir.
I'm sorry, name. You want to read the object from the file and assign it to the name variable, and you want to read the object from the file and assign it to the location variable, because we are interested only, the receiver application is interested only in these two fields. Okay, the sender might have already given this information inside in the contract page. Now he knows what exactly the receiver has to do. He will focus on name and the location. He also aware about the variable names as well, isn't it? So now what is it? Location equal to in dot read object. Okay. After reading this object, we will try to print. Okay, ACC. Okay, why ACC will take receiver. Okay, meaningful example, meaningful variable. Receiver dot name. Just try to read all the objects. Receiver dot name, receiver dot location, and receiver dot pin and the bank. Pin and the bank. If I run this, okay, the JVM, I mean the main thread will not be happy. You will get an exception. What exception you are getting? Java.io.invalid class exception. Why this exception is happening is very simple. Okay, at the time of deserialization, focus here. At the time of deserialization, okay, the JVM, the main thread will always check for the default public constructor, the no argument public constructor. No argument public constructor. So do we have the no argument public constructor inside the externalizable class? Do you see any such constructor? No argument public constructor.
Yes, sir.
It's not there. Why it will see for that? I will let you know. Why it will see for that? I will let you know. Because the JVM, firstly, it will try to assign the default values to all the fields. Before serialization, this JVM will try to blindly assign the default values to all the fields. Very simple, guys. Go back here. Deserialization means what? The copy of object is getting recreated, right? I mean, it is a kind of building the object, right? Again, the object is getting built, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Deserialization means object is getting converted to bytes of streams, and you are placing that in the file. Deserialization means the bytes of streams are again getting converted to the object. I mean, again a new object is getting created. A object, you are giving birth to a new object. Yes or no? Okay. As soon as this object is born, the JVM will try to call the no argument public constructor. Why means it is the responsibility of the JVM here to initialize the default values to all the variables first. How many variables you have? Name, location, pin, and bank name. It will blindly try to initialize the default value. What is the default value for name? Null. Do you agree? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Null.
Yes, sir.
For pin, what is the default value? Zero, right? Zero, right?
Zero.
Zero. What is for bank name? String. What is it? Null, right? Okay. To do this, okay, and which reference I am talking about here? We are talking about the receiver reference. Okay. In order to build this by the JVM, it's a developer responsibility to place the no argument constructor. This point is very, very important. No argument public constructor. When you place this, now the JVM will try to assign the default values to the variables that are part of the externalizable class. First, it will do that. If you're not placing the default constructor, you will get an exception like what? Invalid class exception. Have you got so far what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
So it has identified. Now let me place a default constructor. A public account. Okay. Default constructor is that. Now JVM will be, I mean not JVM, the main thread will be very happy and it will try to initialize the default values first. Then it will jump into the write external method. Now try to understand. Firstly, it will create an object. Then after creating the object, default values are assigned to all the variables. You might be having 1000 variables, no issues. For all the variables, it will assign the default values. Right? But you know the contract, right? The receiver is interested only in which fields? The receiver is interested only in the name and location fields. Right? So it's a developer responsibility to read the object. What is the order that we have? What is the order that the variables are returned? Order is name and the location, right? So the order is name location. Okay. While reading it, you have to follow the same order. First a name, you read the name from the file, you read the location from the file. These two lines will ensure that the default values are rewritten. Default values are taken from the the what we call it as the file deserializer, right? So what is the actual name? What is the actual name with our example? Balaji, right? What is the location? Chennai, right? Okay. Now you have the object and you have the values. What are the values you have? Balaji is assigned to name variable, Chennai is assigned to location variable, 0 is assigned to pin variable, null is assigned to bank variable. So do you think that we should see the same output in the console if I just run this code once again? Well to see. Are we interested in these two variables? Hello? We are not interested in the data. We are only interested in the data of name and the location, but not these two variables. You print, you see default values. Okay, if you are not interested, you do not want to see don't want to see it printed, you can remove that. You can just do some manipulations on the name variable and the location variable. Get it? Yes, no? Any confusion? Getting, no? Right? I will show you some theory. Okay, so this theory is not sufficient. Okay, now tell me, is this justified? No, default serialization means default mechanism in Java to convert an object into byte stream. Default mechanism. What is externalization? Externalization is what? The custom mechanism. Okay, so you can achieve default mechanism by implementing serializable interface. You can achieve the custom mechanism by implementing to externalizable interface. Is this making sense? First line.
Yes, sir.
First one is making sense. Huh? Okay. Now focus on the second line. Control. Serialization means automatic. Automatic means developer is very lazy to do the to write an additional code. So he's submitting the task to the JVM itself. JVM will handle everything except for transient and static field. If you have 1000 fields also, JVM will handle that. No issues. That is a kind of lazy process. External means full control to developer. Okay, developer will define what to serialize, which variable to serialize, which variable not to serialize, and there will be some constraints, rules and constraints. Control. So now you got what is control over processor. Performance. I have said no. Serialization means slower. Why slower? Slower means because Java uses reflection. There is a concept called reflection. Okay. It by default it inspects all the objects, all the variables that are participating. Externalization is faster because you want to do what? You want to do the serialization only for the specific variables. You're reducing the burden to the JVM, don't you think so? If you have 1000 variables for serialization, if you want to serialize only one variable out of 1000, I don't recommend serialization, I recommend externalization. So don't you think you're giving additional burden to the JVM to serialize the remaining 999 variables? Hello? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Performance wise, you are clear, no? See, default constructor. Serialization does not require a public constructor, whereas externalization require a public nor constructor. It is needed during deserialization since we are doing it manually, since we are taking the control. the object will be produced, and after the object creation you have to do what? You have to ensure that the JVM, you are placing the nor constructor so that the JVM will initialize the default values to the object, then you can read the object from the file. Right? Methods. Okay, this is not required, you know about this already. Methods. What are the methods in what serialization? No methods. Optional. If you want to deal with the transient keyword, go for write object, read object. You have little control here. You have 50% control here. In serialization, we have discussed these things yesterday. But for externalization, you are taking the complete control and you are following the rules. What is the rule? You are abiding with the contract, the interface, the inherited. I mean, the interface contract. You have to override it. Okay, this is an example. This is everything. Right? Are we good with the serialization? Yes, no. Not
Yes, sir.
serialization. Serialization as well as now you will be in a position to tell the difference between the serialization and externalization, right? This is the most, what we call it as the omitted topic, I can say. This topic is, no one is giving importance to this topic because serialization is making the developers lazy. But externalization is giving some work to developers so that the performance can be improved. Okay. Shall we jump to the next topic quickly? Last topic. Okay. Last topic is, so there is a concept called, I don't know whether you might have heard this or not. We'll come across this concept very often in the real time project. Serial version UID. Serial version UID. Could be asking me what is this serial version UID? What are the users of this serial version UID? Okay, let me show this with a small example. File, new. Okay, now focus here. Same thing I'm taking. I have one sender application. Okay, I have one receiver application, and I have a remote file. Okay, so let us say that this is the sender application. Okay, this is the receiver application. Okay, and this is the remote file. Remote file somewhere. Okay, let us say that this file is in sender is in USA, receiver is in India, and remote file is somewhere in UK. Three different locations. Okay, now we know this. We know, okay, these are the steps, right? First thing is you create an object for account. You create an object for account, then you use file output stream, then object output stream, then write object, right? Exactly. These are the steps so that the serialization will be performed from sender application to the remote file, right? So object will be created inside the sender application. Okay, this object will be transferred to the file, remote file, right? So serialization is completed. So this is the account object. Account object serialization completed. Okay, so please remember. So at the time of serialization, so there is a concept called what? Default unique identifier. What is the concept? Default serial version UID. Why it is required? The JVM will try to use this. You don't see this. You don't see. When I say you don't see this, when you have a class, okay? When you have a class A, guys, you have a class A. Your class A is implementing serializable interface. Okay, so you have some variables, you have some write object, whatever it is, constructors, everything. But the JVM, the role JVM is going to play clever here. What JVM is going to do? JVM will place what? JVM will place a default serial version ID. Default. Let's say that SVUID for that. default serial version ID. I will tell you why it is basic. Okay, so at the time of serialization, this default serial version ID will be placed inside the remote file. Will be placed along with the remote file. Okay, which means you are giving an identification to the serialized object. Is that the remote file? An identification is given by what? An identification is given by serializable object. When serialized object in the remote file, a kind of identity will be given, right? And when you try to read this, okay, when you try to read this through the deserialization, okay, this deserialized, serialized, version UID, SVUID is going to be given to the receiver at the time of deserialization. At the time of deserialization, it will be given to the receiver. Okay. In this case, since this both the sender and the receiver, they are using the common POJO class. Common POJO class means common account class. Common account class. Okay. Since the JVM is keeping this default serial version unique identifier for the sender and the receiver, you don't see any issues here. You don't see any issues here. Why you don't see any issues here? We are running, don't you think that we are running everything in the local? I mean, when I'm teaching this class, don't you see that everything is run here in the local, in my local system? Yes, no? You agree with that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Everything is run. We are not using any external communication, literally, right? Strictly speaking, am I using any external communication? Everything is taught in the same machine and in the same project, in the same Java project that has been created in the Eclipse editor. Yes or no? For reading, for the reading, you do the same thing. Use FIS, use OIS, and again you use what? You use something by read object method. Okay. At the time of writing, this default SVUID, serial version UID, will be created by the JVM. Okay. And at the time of reading, even for the writing and the reading, the same ID will be there. Let us say that the JVM is generating the ID as 101. This 101 will be stored in the object in the file. Okay. And the receiver will also have the same 101 number. So you don't see any issues here. You don't see any issues here because it is a kind of an identity that is created by the JVM. You don't see any issues here. Why? Because you are working in the same local system. I mean, with respect to my class, you are working same local system. Let us say that we are migrating this. Now, let us say that this sender is in USA, receiver is in India. Again, this file is in UK. Okay, and also say that for simplicity, the sender, the US machine, the USA, the account, the sender application which is in USA is using Windows operating system, and it is running on Java 1.8. Right? And if the receiver is also using the Windows operating system, it is running on Java 1.8. Definitely, you don't see any issues here. You don't see any issues because both are going to have the compactable JVM. Okay, this is going to have one JVM which is exactly same as the JVM that the receiver application is having. Compactable JVM because they are running on the same operating system and they are using the same what? Using the same Java versions. Right? But when the problem comes, when the actual problem comes with, let us say that instead of using this, instead of this is sender application is using the Windows, but the receiver application is using the Linux operating system. Okay, even though if you follow the default, I mean, if you're not giving the serial version ID, the JVM will generate an ID 101 for Windows and another ID like 103 for Linux. Because, okay, the Windows JVM is not compatible with the Linux JVM that I am talking about now. Hello, are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay. Even though JVM is taking care of generating serial version ID, this version ID is nothing but a kind of identity case. Very simple. It's kind of see, you have joined my class. You have joined my class. Let us say that you know you're joining a college. Okay, you're joining a college. So after joining a college, inside the college, you have to pay fees in the administrative department, right? And after completing the formalities, they give you an ID card, right? They give you an ID card. ID card. Okay? You carry this ID card with yourself, right? And this ID card is going to be acting like an identity, so that you can enter your college canteen, you can enter your college library, you can enter your, the college playground, whatever it is. So this ID card is going to protect you in the college premises. Yes or no? Hello? This kind of
Yes,
identification,
sir.
right? Likewise, when you're dealing with the data transfer, when you're dealing with the object transfer, you're dealing with serialization, okay, there should be a contract here. Contract means what? The version, default serialized version ID should match with each other. Then only the deserialization will happen. Or else you will get an exception like what? Invalid class exception. So within the same machines, you don't see much difference. When you're using different machine, you will see it. I will replicate this for. I will replicate this for. Let us replicate this. Let me say, instead of taking this project, let me take another project. File, new Java project. Okay. Now let me say my project name is serial UID. Okay, I am taking one class, one package, org.test, a very simple package. Okay, inside this I am taking what? I am taking a class. The first class is account class. Here the class name is account. Okay. And the second class is file new class sender. One main method for sender, and again another class new class receiver. Let us give two variables here. Account name. Okay, in the account you have account name of the account, you have the account location. For simplicity, I am taking only two variables, location, and let us implement our class to serializable interface. Good. Let us create a argument constructor to set the values. Source generate constructor using fields. Okay, it is done. Now focus here. This is okay. Account class has been generated successfully. So what I am saying is, the JVM will generate the default serial version unique identifier. Default serial version unique identifier. Okay, not out of. So let us say that it's generating a number like 101. For simplicity, I'm saying. Okay. So sender application, what is the sender application is going to do? Sender application is going to send the object to the file, right? What is the procedure? File, let's create an object for account ACC equal to new account. Okay. You have the account name and you have the location. File, sorry guys, file output string. File output stream FOS equal to new file output stream. So let us create a new file here. acc.str. object output stream OOS equal to new object output stream FOS add source declaration IO exception. OOS dot write object ACC. If I run this sender application, okay, sender application is protected with a main method. I can run this independently, right? If I run this, so the serialization happens, and you see a file by the name of ACC, and the data is serialized here. Yes or no? Hello, have understood this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now in the receiver application, what I am doing, I am trying to deserialize it by using a different application. I'm just treating as a different application. So I'm taking another main method here. So here file input stream FIS equal to new file input stream. Okay, same path we can give here. You get logged out of the meeting room, please rejoin. It will take only 5 minutes to complete. .scl file input stream. Okay, object input stream OIS equal to new object input stream FIS. So OIS dot read object I want to read what object? Account object ACC2 here. S5S1 dot println account 2 dot name account 2 dot locations. If I run this code, you are getting Balaji, and the location is what? Location is location. Did I say it is location? Okay, location is channel. Let us redo this. Now focus here. I have one account class which is what? Serializable by nature. So we are trying to replicate. Okay, we are trying to reproduce the complicated things with a simple Java application for the understanding purpose. So my intention is, what I'm saying, the JVM will generate a common ID 101. For example, I'm taking 101. Okay, this 101 will be the unique identifier that will be placed along with the serialized object in the file. Along with the serialized object inside the file. At the time of deserialization, okay, the receiver application will also have the account number. I mean, same account Bojo class. Okay, it will have the same 101 ID that is generated by what? That is generated by the JVM. Okay, so what I'm doing is same thing. Since we are dealing with only one classes. Okay, so here I have taken a main method for sender. So I'm treating it as a separate application. I'm taking a main method for receiver. I'm treating it as a separate application. Since I have main methods, I have an account class. Which is a common class. I'm treating it as a separate class. Okay, don't think it as a common class. Think it like a separate class. Think it like receiver as a separate account class and sender as a separate account class. Think it like a separate. I cannot reproduce that with the Java. That's my intention. Yeah, my voice is audible, right? Screen is visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now you say,
Yes.
I cannot treat it as a sub. I have the sender application. For that, I have taken a main method. So which is usually doing what? Sender is doing the file output stream. Okay, it is just writing the object into the file. There is a file. This sender application is creating an object and it is putting it to the file. Okay, this is serialized. My receiver application is doing some operations. Okay, it is reading from the file. Reading from the file. Assume that you have a separate account class for the sender application and a separate account class for the receiver application. Even though I'm using it only once, okay, you have to assume that there are two. There are two. This separate one and this is separate one. So these both account classes are, even though we are running only one class, assume that there are two, because we cannot reproduce it in this exam. It's common Java, but you can get the topic, you can get the concept out, complete concept out. Okay, now you see, when you are not using default, JVM will create a default serial version UID. Serial version UID. Let us say that is creating 101. Okay, we are working in the same machines. Okay, working in the same machine, same operating system. Here also JVM will create the same default version ID like 101. Okay, here also it will be like 101. Okay, you don't see any conflicts here. You don't see any conflict. Now let me do something. Let me do some kind of modification here. I am just activating the center application. I'm activating the center application and the file has been, the object has been stored in the file, stored in the remote file. How I can activate only the center application? Okay, go to the center class and run this main method of the center. File run as Java application. Okay. Now don't you think that because of my operation, the data has been transferred to the file or not? Yes or no? Data has been successfully transferred to the file or not? Right. Now see, after doing this, I am adding one more field. Okay, I am adding one more variable here. See? Address. I am doing some modification here, which means I am just adding new features to my class, new features to my account class. My wish, no, my application, my wish. You want, I can add any number of data. But because of this, if I try to run the receiver application, okay, don't you think that you are getting an exception here? Why you are getting an exception here? Focus here, focus here. We're getting an exception like this. Why you are getting an exception? As soon as you transfer the file, as soon as you transfer the object, let me increase this. We're getting this exception, invalid class exception. As soon as you transfer the object, right, you are doing the modification on the account class, which means the moment you start doing the modification, this serialized ID, default serialized ID, will be changed to some other ID. After the modification, the receiver has taken a lot of time. It is doing the deserialization activity in the evening, but by the time you have done some modification, okay, it has become 105. It has become what? 105, something like this. It has become 105, right? Okay, and this 105 changes, and here you see 101, right? Sender has now new version ID as 105. Receiver has now the new version ID as 101. Or else you can think the opposite. Let us say that sender has 101 only, receiver has 105. Receiver has 105 because of the changes that we have made. Because we have added some fields, some new fields. Okay, you can think that these new fields are added in the receiver application. This time, the serial version ID of the receiver application could be a different value, 105. There is a mismatch here. Because of this mismatch, you are getting this invalid class cast exception. To avoid this, you give your own serial version ID. Okay, instead of depending on JVM, if you give your own, see, if you're working in the same system, no issues. Okay, we don't work in the same system. We always work in the different system. Always, it is mandatory to give what public static final long your own serial version UID. Okay, let us say that value 1 is of long type. If you give like this, and if you do what, if you just rerun this code once again. Okay, let me remove this field. Sender. Don't think I can duplicate this. Receiver. Okay, sender receiver. Okay, let me with the sender first. After into the sender, let us assume that we are making some changes, like adding another field here, a string. What is it? Address. Anything. Okay, address, whatever it is. Details. Now let me run receiver. Okay. So I'm not able to replicate in one class. Replication is a kind of, let me remove this constructor and see. We'll try by removing the constructor and see. Sender is fine. Okay, after doing this, let me add one more field, string address. Okay, now a receiver. Sender is done. Let us see receiver. Before doing the receiver, string. Okay, now we are able to do this. Okay, now what I have done is, now focus here. Serial version UID, right? Serial version UID. So let us take the values here. Okay, name equal to Balaji, location equal to Chennai, details are, let's say that account details, savings account details, right? Okay, so I have the account class ready, which is serializable by nature. I'm activating the sender first. The sender is activated after transferring the data to the file. After transferring the data to the file, what I am doing some modification on the account class. So I'm adding one more field. Let us say that the field is address here. Address equal to, let's say that kind of Hyderabad. Modification has happened. Even though after this modification, okay, the serial version UID remains the same. This is for the identification purpose. You can give any number here. Simplicity I have given 1 L, right? And Now let us run the receiver application. You get Balaji Chennai, right? But the problem comes when you're not using this, right? JVM will initiate this by, JVM will have a default one. It will have a default one, which is different for the sender account object and receiver account object. It will generate default one. It will generate default one, right? And let me remove this. Let me run the sender application. Don't see anything. Okay. After activating the sender, make some changes to the account class and let us run the receiver here. You see an exception because you're depending upon the default version ID of JVM. Like I said, okay, do the observation here. JVM default version ID will be like, okay, you firstly, for now, let us assume that it is creating a version ID like default one is like 100. In the account class, your account class has three variables, and this 100 is a version ID which will be transferred as a version ID along with the object. Okay. Okay, and the receiver will also have the default one 100. But what you are doing, you are making the modification of the class of account, in the receiver side, right? You are adding the fourth variable, which means what? When the class name is same, the class name is account itself. The class name is account itself, but the class has here three different variables, here four different variables. Type is same, but since you have the fourth variable, okay, the one, what is it, 100 will be changed to some other value 103. Okay, now if you are running the receiver application at the last, okay, receiver applications will find the mismatch of 100 which is not equal to 103 because you have done some modifying, because you are depending upon the JVM. It is going to create a mess. Okay, so at the time of creating a contract itself, you would say that, okay, the sender would say and receiver would communicate in such a way that I will be changing my account class, I will be adding new variables, I will be removing variables. It's my wish, I will be doing these things a lot. Okay, and you both will maintain the common serial version ID, which is whatever it is. In our case, it is 1. You both will maintain the same version ID. Even though if you change the classes, if you modify your classes, receiver sender class, receiver class, it will not impact the results. It will avoid the exception. Hello? Are you getting?
Yes.
See, I am not able to replicate. Okay, this is not 100% that I have given. I am again repeating it. I am not able to give the 100% in the Java application. If it is a Spring Boot application, we can able to reproduce it 100%. I have taken only one account class. I am asking you to imagine this account class. It is same for sender as well as for receiver. You can see the common class. That's why you are getting a confusion. But uh, what they the concept wise you should be clear. That's my intention. Are you clear about the concept wise? Very simple. If you are not worried about the serial version UID, they will create that, no issues. But if we create issue, remember to start modifying your classes. You're getting? You can keep increasing data. No, you can add n number of variables, right? Class explosion. I said no. The class is not going to be fixed like this forever. Keep adding the data as per the requirements. Today you have to deal with new data, but the contract should not be broken. This is the thing that is not breaking the contract between the two different applications, sender and receiver in our case. You maintain this for both in the sender application as well as in the receiver application. You maintain the same version ID. Okay, no matter how many variables you add in the sender or receiver, you will not see any impact. Hello, getting this?